Welcome back to the Soccer Ladder with Lee and me. Today's episode dives into a huge piece of performance that often gets overlooked: nutrition. So, our guest today is Dan Motchman, a private chef who works with all the top athletes. Literally, you are working with the top athletes in the world right now. I mean, not only athletes, but your resume is so impressive. You worked with some of the A-listers and actresses and some of the top singers in the world. So we are so excited to have you here. I mean, you've also worked with Chelsea FC, Williams Racing. With that, oh, and also, you know that I'm vegan, so we definitely have to touch base on plant-based and how that fits into nutrition. With that, let's go ahead and get started with some questions. I see some jerseys behind you. So who is behind you?
So we've got Joachim Andersen from last year's Fulham. Sorry again, this little man's bargain. But yeah, Joachim Andersen. In the middle, we've got Mark Gay. That was last year's shirt. Then we got Chris's jersey at the back. We've got Anthony Joshua's training shirt from his Dubois fight, which was literally just down here. And then we've got the signed Chelsea shirt when I left Chelsea that Conor Gallagher gave me. And then, at the top, we've got Alex Yee, who's the gold medalist for Great Britain in the triathlon at Paris Olympics. So I went to Bordeaux with him. So, yeah, it's a nice little collection I'm getting together.
You've worked across multiple sports: soccer, boxing, motorsport. What's the biggest difference in how you fuel athletes depending on their sport?
I think it's really, you look at what the sport they're doing and what it entails. So with football, for example, or soccer, it's quite explosive. So you want them to be fueled for short energy, short bursts, good recovery. Boxing, again, it's endurance, but not as heavy endurance like Formula One, where you don't want to fuel people with too many slow digesting carbs, because otherwise, you're going to feel heavy, you're going to feel bloated. It's going to take a while to, get the energy through. So with football, boxing, Formula One, it's all relatively the same, but it's just if we up the fat somewhere, we up the carbs on others. It's literally those small little details. Worked with a triathlete that won at Paris Olympics. Only 30, I think he was 62 kilo, but ate 6,500 calories a day because his training was so intense. So compared to a footballer that will be around 3,000, 3,500, it's just fueling for what they need. So it changes from what they need to do their sport.
So I think I'm going to have this question be from Liam.
Hi, Dan. Can you walk us through what a typical nutrition week looks like for a player leading up to a Saturday match?
Yeah, brilliant, Liam. So what we're looking at is, let's say it's on Saturday, as you say, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You could have a recovery day in there, or maybe two if they've just played the following weekend. So we've reduced the calories from reduced carbohydrates to then the healthier fats. So we bring those back in. And then we get towards like a match day -2, where we start slowly loading up the carbohydrates. Then we've got a match day -1, where we're going high carb, lower fat. Protein tends to stay the same throughout the week. We might adjust it only minimal, maybe 10 grams here or there. And then literally match day, it's full on with getting the carbohydrates into them. So they might have pasta for breakfast. They might have, some people prefer to eat lighter, and they might have some overnight oats and get their fruits, and they're getting their carbohydrates from their fruits. And then we're literally from there, match days happened, straight into recovery. Because with some of the top clubs, they could be playing again on Wednesday. Let's say you've got a quick turnaround. It's very full on with how it builds through the week.
Can you give us some examples of meals that you prep for your athletes? So I know Chris Richards.
Americans #1.
Yeah. He is on the U.S. men's national team. Take us through like how you prep his day, like on a Friday, and then like on his match day.
So with Chris, it's very much I've been working with him now for 4 years. We look at what I sit down with all the clients, and so with Chris, for example, we speak about what he likes. So being American, he does like his Southern American foods. So we try to put a healthier spin onto it. So if it's things like a pizza, for example, we looked at it and we thought, right, how can we change this to hit his macros? So we went and created a yogurt base dough with lentil and chickpea flour. So if you take, for example, and then like a Domino's large pizza, like over here, for example, it's about 2,500 calories for a large pizza with a garlic and herb dip. So that is the average male requirements done in one meal. But with Chris's pizza, it's 700 calories, but just in the dough alone, we're getting 30 grams of protein. And we haven't even put any toppings on yet, so then we could build that. So that's one of his meals we go with. Breakfast wise, he's very basic with eggs, porridge, his juices, things like that. He's fine with. He enjoys spice. I've never known a guy eat something so hot. It is. So yeah, which again, that is one we try to tailor it down towards around match days, because it can to aid the inflammation. If you don't want too much spice, because it can infect the body. If he's already got inflammation somewhere, then things like that, things like tomatoes or pepper, it can really inflame the body as well. So we look at that.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, loves his Mexican, so we do a healthier take on tacos, where we will use like potato bread, but we use it into a flatbread. So we redesign tacos into that style. He actually only had them the other night, so it's it's things like that we he very much loves his Southern American cuisine.
So what do you do like post game?
So post game, a lot of it is done with the clubs. So they finish the game, and then 2 hours after, they've got like food on the bus, or they normally have things like sushi. When I was working at Chelsea, we had sushi in the changing room, which just popped up a couple of tables. And then with Mickey, we used to be in there and just sushi to anything from, could be a chicken burger, it could be wraps, it can be just pizzas again. So that's normally looked after by the clubs. And then if we go back in, it can be recovery shakes, just making sure they're getting all the goodness into them, turmeric shots, just really trying to get them back into. There's a window where they can, within reason, eat what they want, because they've run between 12 to 15 kilometers in a game, so they've got to have a bit of flexibility as well.
What changes on game day itself from breakfast to post match recovery?
So on game day, it will start off quite carb heavy. So it'll be, but again, it's compared to with sports nutrition, and especially within elite sport, it's what we're told as the average society, like, eat your slow digesting carbs, your brown rice, your sweet potatoes, because it keeps you fuller for longer. With sports players, we really want them to have the white carbohydrates, because it's easy for the body to digest and get through quicker. So they will have their white pastas, white rice, porridge, juices. So it's quick. It's a quick energy. So grape juice is another great one. Very high carbohydrate source if you need instant energy and things. So there will be carbohydrate based up to like from the morning. If they've got a 3 o'clock kickoff, I believe it's around about 12 o'clock they have their pre-game meal. So that's again done by the clubs, because they're all meeting around there. Then they start the process of warming up, getting ready for the game. Then after the game, it's again like when we were in the the changing rooms. It's very much your sushis, your pizzas, your burgers, your wraps, anything again to you want to get the carbohydrates back in, get the glycogen levels back in, but also you want your proteins for your recovery, because the muscles are crying out. They've been playing at 100 mile an hour for over an hour, well, not an hour and a half, and then into the evening again. It's very much making sure, although the nutritionists on it, they're getting their sleep in, which they can sometimes struggle with, which people don't realise as well. If they played, like, for example, a night game, some of the players say they finish and they get home about, I think one of my players the other night flew back from Newcastle after a cup game, and it was midweek. He didn't get home until gone 1, 2 in the morning, and then he couldn't sleep, so he didn't get to bed till 4. But then there's a quick turnaround for the week, so he's back in at 10 o'clock in the morning. So you think that side of it, you're like, so you try to eat. That's where we can try. We've worked with some of the players for foods that will help you get to sleep and into a deep sleep a bit quicker. So kiwis, so I do a kiwi, apple, and banana smoothie for some of them. So that gets in cherries. So your really tart cherries, they're proven to kind of help you fall into a deep sleep and stay there for for a longer period. So we look at things like that to try and get that into the players as well.
I'm so glad that you brought that up, because I know for myself, even like if I'm out working at an event and I get home late, it takes like several hours for me just to like unwind.
Yeah, you could be physically tired, but mentally, it's you just can't switch off.
Yeah, yeah. So that is so important. And these athletes do, they travel and they get home late.
Yeah, it's in the F1 world. They had and they do it with football as well, but it's a whole hydration and sleep care thing that they do when they're traveling a lot. So it's within the F world. You know, you F1, you're traveling all around the world. So there was one driver we worked with that just to get the healthy sleep routine in, would travel with his own mattress and pillow, like mattress topper. So it always felt the same wherever he was. So there's things like that. Just yeah. So it's quite off nutrition, but it's just a thing that I thought was quite interesting to see how they make everything feel as homely and as normal as they can.
That's such great tips. Oh my gosh, I have to remember those for myself, let alone all the athletes out there. So you just talked about Formula One. It's not a field sport, but the physical demands are intense. How does that shift the way drivers feel their bodies?
I didn't realize I've always been a fan of F1. Like my dad was a big fan, so we always used to watch growing up. But until I worked in the sport, I didn't really take and appreciate the demand on the body. Like you think, oh, they're just driving around a track for what 40 to 70 laps or whatever, but they could burn anything from like I think it was up to 2.5 or 1,500 calories to 2,000 calories in a race just by the demand on the body, and they can lose I think it's anything between 4 to 6 kilo, and that's mainly from liquid. So that's from the sweat because the heat. You know, you're driving around in the cockpit's so hot. So, you know, I've seen one driver that his straw wasn't connected to his drinks thing. So he did a whole race in Singapore and almost collapsed when he came out because he was so dehydrated. So they're using it like the electrolytes, especially when you're at altitude, which, you know, you're going to have it with in America. Like I know the American team just played in Colorado. So I did a wedding up there with my good friend Chris and Dallas. And the altitudes affect you as well. So you're getting the extra salts in because that will help with hydrating yourself again because you're losing your salts and your sugars through sweat. So it's affecting at altitude as well. But there's one driver that would have a mix of sweet potato mash, or like separated, not together, but sweet potato mash, normal potato mash, like a white potato, and then some eggs. And that was always before qualifying. So you've got your proteins, you've got your slow digesting carb, and then you've got a fast digesting carb. So it's kind of trying to, and that became his ritual, and I believe he's still doing it now. So you wouldn't do that if you're playing football because you're going to feel sluggish and things. It's not enough to fuel. But and then there's a weight limit. When I was in F1, there's a weight limit with the car and the driver, so they've got to stay at a certain weight. So it's all relative to the person again.
Dang. I mean, I have like mad respect for what they do. Oh, it's something I never really thought about until, the F1 series.
The documentary series, yeah, yeah.
I didn't even know they said, they have to like train their neck muscle.
Yeah, it's with So I used to work with Logan Sargent, the American F1 driver. Absolutely fantastic lad, really really good. But when he first stepped up after the last race of the season, there's a young driver test where they test the tyres for the next year, and Logan went from F3 to driving an F1 car for the first time, and I believe it was saying that after 8 laps, his neck muscles couldn't take it anymore. So they had to put padding behind his headrest and behind his head. So when he's driving, it was supporting him because he couldn't support anything when you're taking the corners at such speed. Is the head's just doing what it wants because he can't support it anymore. I think he ended up doing another 50 laps, and it's like he just can't control. It's madness. It is crazy.
Obviously, an athlete or a boxer or a driver has to be at the top of their game, like technically, but I always ask every guest that I have on about how important nutrition and recovery is. I feel like that is equally important to stay at those elite
Oh,
levels.
100%. I think you look at it in a way when you work with the nutritionists within clubs or whether it's with boxers, they they know what they've done to get there. Like the players individually, they look after themselves well. They're always professional, but then you're trying to get that next little 2%. So it was a nutritionist at Chelsea was telling me is follow the guides from the nutrition of the club because if you don't agree with something they're doing, for example, you don't want to be the reason why it potentially hasn't worked. So if it's a supplement that you're putting in, and you think, oh, I don't think about maltodextrin, which is a carbohydrate thing. It's in polos, it's in mints, it's everywhere. But if there's someone that's like, I don't want to do that, do you want to potentially be the reason why a player in the 93rd minute of a cup final cramps up or doesn't have the energy to make that last sprint because you haven't followed the guidelines? It's those little bits that you're looking for, because everyone in the Premier League can beat everyone. They're all fantastic players. It's just that next level of what can you help fueling yourself properly, and it's you see the players that dedicate themselves to it go to those next heights.
Yeah, and that goes to like we're talking about recovery, nutrition, and sleep.
It's full of, and it's even things with the recovery side of it between sports again. When think something I learned, because you learn things off people all the time, and I was working with a fantastic Canadian nutritionist called Mark Bubbs. So he worked with NFL teams, and I believe he worked with the Canadian basketball team. But it was after one of my clients' fights. It was right, we're up in the omega-3 levels, like beyond what I would thought was a recommended like dose, where it was way up. Because of the nature of boxing, it was to help with brain cell recovery. So the omega-3 was actually helping repair and trying to like reduce the risks of like the concussion process. It was crazy. Like seeing the document, it was mad. I could bore you to tears. It was crazy.
That is fascinating. Okay, so since we're on boxing, I have to bring it up. You were with Anthony Joshua on Fight Night with Jake Paul. Do you call him the top boxer in the world? I don't know.
It is for me. It was a dream to work with him. It always was. For me, he's number one.
Leading up to that match, how did you get him ready? I mean, he's a big guy, right?
Yeah, yeah, he was huge. That was the only fight, because I've worked with him before. I've been with him for about 3 years. So I was shared this camp with Jose, who's a chef from Spain. That was because he was training out in Valencia, so he was doing that. So I went over for Miami, but we had to make sure that he was at 111 kilo, because there was a weight limit installed, which you don't normally have in heavyweight boxing. So he had to come down. He normally walks around. I think it was it. So it was 100. I can't remember what he was meant to be at. 145 pounds, I think it was. No, it wasn't 140, 245 pounds. Otherwise, he was tiny.
I was gonna say, wait, no, it can't be 145.
I'm trying to do the conversion here. He's not that small. And I think we had to bring him down to 245, and he normally walks around 260, I think was the weight. So he he's very good with his food. He's very switched on. He's the ultimate professional. But it was working with his longtime nutritionist, Mark. I've forgotten his surname now. We'll have to edit that one in. But Mark, that's up in he works with Team GB, and he's worked with Anthony since Team GB. But it was following the macros and just making sure we stuck to them, but fueling him with the right sources. So I would, like, if he was feeling hungry one day, it would be using potatoes as the carb source, because you can eat a lot more potatoes compared to rice or pasta. Um, we also had, leading up to the fight, he landed and wasn't particularly well. So then we came into, right, how can we reduce the mucus and things like that you had, because it was just, you can't train if you can't breathe properly. But he still was going through. I don't know how he did it, because I picked up the illness when I got home, and then I was in bed for 3 days. So I don't know how he managed to get through that. But it was just different bits, different drinks, fueling him again with loads of turmeric to trying to natural anti-inflammatories for the body, because just I was invited down to sparring, which was just incredible to actually witness it and be in the gym with 8 other people and watching it. I always thought sparring, they're just gonna, go around, slap each other a bit, it's all fine, just learn things. It's full on. It is like a 80% fight. They really are going for it. And then, it's the recovery process for that, coming in, making sure he's got his lean proteins. I tried to with all my clients. It's something that I was told way back when I was starting, that things like your red meats can slow down the digestive system. So that can, again, like the slow digesting carbohydrates that we found, red meats can slow you down, make you feel sluggish, and it's just 48 hours before a game or a fight or whatever it is. I tend to not feed my clients red meat. And yeah, he would come back, we'd feed him before training. So average day was about 9 o'clock, half 8, 9 o'clock. Feed him. He'd go to the gym. All his supplements were dealt with by his teams, because I don't deal with supplementation, because I don't want to be the reason that someone might fail. Oh my days! If someone failed a drug test because of something I've given them, I don't want that responsibility. So that's all dealt with by the team. then I would deliver the lunch to the gym. So I'd get in an Uber and drive it down, go down there. Then he would have an afternoon snack where it could be things like his dates, or he could have a shake. He could have anything he wanted, really, as long as it was within his macros. Then he'd go again, off for his second training session, which could be anything from swimming to a cardio workout to anything until feed him again when he comes back. Probably around 800 to 1,000 calories per meal. We're going with about 500 calories per snack. And then before bed, we give him more of a slow digesting protein, like a casein style thing. So overnight, he's recovering well. He's, his body's kind of, but again, he was the ultimate professional. It was a dream for me to work with him on the last two camps. It was, yeah, brilliant.
I am going to admit, I had no idea who he was.
He's not really over here. He's massive, absolutely huge, and across Europe. But in America, I mean, the first time he came over there, it didn't go well. Madison Square Garden. He lost the world title out there in his first visit. But this, I think, because of who he was fighting, it's grown his popularity out in America.
So someone like Anthony Joshua, could he train and be the athlete he is if he was a vegan?
So I personally think he could. I mean, he definitely wouldn't become a vegan from just knowing him. But that would be again where you would become more creative. I think when I was speaking to you the other day, it was the thing I find most interesting about sports nutrition to working in the hotels and restaurants and things that I've done in the past is you have to be creative to make sure they still enjoy the food, but they're getting their requirements. So with a vegan, so Anthony Joshua, for example, yeah, he would need to really look at probably some supplementation to get to the level of protein that he would need. But there's stories over here with football and soccer. So ex-England forward Jermaine Defoe, he in his later years became a vegan, and it was well documented because he found that he was recovering quicker. He was prolonging his career was what he went with, and just from making that change, there's a few players that he's the standout one that I can remember. There's a few players that have changed to a more vegan style diet because they feel better for it. Cyrus Christie, fantastic guy. He's now the ex-Ireland right back. He's played at Fulham, won the championship to get promoted to the Premier League with Fulham. He's now at Bolton Wanderers, but he likes to eat as plant-based as he can. And it's things like that it's preference at times. But when you feel better with it, you would look at the temper, your tofus, you go with your beans and your pulses, your black beans. That would be where you go. But again, yeah, I would say supplementation would be needed just for where they've got to get to with their requirements. But yeah, I think it would be easily doable. There must be a heavyweight boxer that's a vegan out there somewhere.
I was going to say, we're going to research this and find out
I
now.
might try it. I might have a look.
So do any of your football clients, do you feed them any plant-based meals?
So at the moment I don't. Yeah, at the moment I don't. There's a few that wouldn't turn a nose up at it if I did. I haven't done it for any of my clients at the moment. Cyrus again, he has and is predominantly plant based when I've worked with him. There's a player actually I'm having a trial with tomorrow. Oh, there's the dog.
Oh, hi, doggy. I love it.
But yeah, he there's a player I'm working with tomorrow that's predominantly fish. Doesn't really enjoy meats, but I'm going to go plant based with him tomorrow on my trial with him. So yeah, we're going to do some veggie and vegan style tacos. So we're going to go with that.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I went vegan 6 years ago. It's hard. I struggle to get in enough protein, but also I'm busy and I get lazy and I don't always cook for myself. So, yeah, tofu, I think like nuts, I have a lot of nuts and beans
Yeah.
and
That's the thing with the nuts. It's just being careful of the fat content in some of the nuts because then it can up and down. And that's where like people like you look at lentils and things like that. Like lentils they're a good protein source. I think off the top of my head, I think it's either lentils or chickpeas. It's like 9 grams of protein per 100 grams or something like that. But then the carbs in them are quite high as well. So it's balancing out, and that's where I feel you would need to the levels of like AJ for example and Anti Joshua. The supplementation of a plant based protein supplement to get up to his level would probably be needed just to kind of hit the targets. But that's from the average person to an athlete, their levels are a little bit higher.
When I went vegan, I instantly felt better, like, and that's why I continued with it. I felt like inflammation went down. I didn't feel as heavy. I don't know, I just feel like my skin, everything changed. And now, I mean, now it's like an animal rights issue for me, but I felt better, you know?
Yeah, as a lot of people do say that with that, you feel lighter, you feel fresher, you don't wake up so sluggish. It's things like that. It's yeah, there's a lot of positives behind it.
For young soccer players and parents listening, what does a simple, realistic weekly meal structure look like during their season?
Cool. So I would say, firstly, it's they've got to enjoy it. I'm working with a young Chelsea player at the moment, a goalkeeper who's fantastic, but he's very specific with what he likes. So there's no point in me trying to force a green smoothie down his throat if he's not going to have it, because it's going to feel like a chore. So like with young players, I would say keeping the lean proteins in there, keeping getting a good clean source of carbohydrate as well. It's really it doesn't have to be boring. So you can have like your stir fried rices, for example, with maybe some chicken. You can do their pizzas if you want to. You can do a burger. It's looking at what you're putting in the burgers, kind of thing, like using the lower fat percentage beef if you're going down the beef route, or go for a chicken burger, for example, but maybe don't breadcrumb it and fry it. So it's the cooking techniques as well. So I would say, if they like oats, go for some oats. If not, cereal and some bread or some eggs. Like, it's a nice way to start. Pick the relatively, maybe like what's it called, like I'm trying to think of the cereals, like a lower sugar style ones, because if you've got your usual leading brands over here, they can be packed full of sugar, and then you're just going to go up, you're going to crash, because your sugar count's going to go mad. Lunchtimes, again, there's no reason, like nice pasta, if you like your meatballs, things like that, just a nice clean sauce, you can go with that. Um, Sushis, things like that. It's whatever the child or the young athlete really likes. You can play around with it. It doesn't have to differ from a male athlete or a female athlete as an adult. You can just like structure it down to it's the macro count, so it fits in with their week, kind of thing.
Okay. So Liam is 12. What age do you think like nutrition starts to become key? Or when should they really start to like hone in on their nutrition?
So I think now where Liam's, if he's not started, he's going to start going through puberty. So the growth is going to start coming. So that's quite an important time to start fueling the body for when he's changing into becoming an adult. So I would say now it's looking at it. You eat up, eating towards the weights that you want to be. So it's roughly 1.5 to 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight you want to be. So if you wanted to be 80 kilo, you'd eat 160 grams roughly of protein. Sorry, can you hear my dog? Is he?
He's talking, he's helping you give advice to us.
So I would say, yeah. So 12, I would start looking at it because of the growth. Yeah, again, like about 1 to 1.5 grams of protein per body weight, body mass in kilos. And yeah, just starting to look at about 2.5 to 3,000 calories, depending on his output. Like Liam's in the academy, isn't he? Red Bull, I think you were saying, wasn't it? So he's going to be more active than someone that, for myself, was just a Sunday league team. So his requirement's going to be a lot more. So it's yeah, I would say it's an important stage now, though.
Liam loves chicken and rice, but he likes chicken that is like breaded or like with panko.
So again, this is where I've changed the cooking techniques that I use, because in a restaurant we'd breadcrumb it, deep fry it, it's gorgeous, it is good. But it's almost like you can do little bits. So like you can look at, say, cornflakes, for example. If you get cornflakes and you can crush them, and then you can dip your chicken into egg whites. So you're cutting down the bread and then breadcrumb it. But then instead of deep frying, you can either put them straight onto an oven rack or a baking tray into the oven, so you're not absorbing all that oil, or you can put them into an air fryer and really crisp them up. So it's just changing that cooking technique will cut out a lot of the unhealthier natures of food. So I do this a lot with my clients, where if it's breaded products, I'll dip it in egg white, dip it straight into a cornflake or just a breadcrumb, or if I'm just using flour, double pane, and then straight into an oven or an air fryer, and it crisps it all up, and it's so you can still do healthy food, which seems naughty, but it's not.
That's a great swap. I'm gonna try the cornflakes.
Yeah, it's good because it's already crispy already, so it already goes in. It's already it's good.
How do you help athletes stay consistent when traveling?
Ooh, that's a good one. So a lot of it is it's all preparation. So if you it's um, if you plan ahead of it all and you stay ahead, then it helps them. So I will, even if I've got a day off, so I will make sure their juices and their shakes are ready to go. They've got their meal prep, so they can take it with them. Or if they're playing away, they come home. It's they're in the fridge ready for when they need it. So it's look, I always got the calendar ready. I'm sussing out their games. I know where my players are throughout the week, and then it's tailored to them. So I know that on Saturday, for example, Joe Joachim, he's playing at home. So Friday night he's going to be in a hotel, but Saturday I'll make sure that I'm there on the Thursday to leave his meal for the Saturday, so he's already there. So it's just all about preparation and planning, so that they stay ahead of it. And then you're working with the nutritionists, and I have with Mark Gay, who's just literally 2 hours before we came on, just secured a great move to Man City.
Oh my gosh, that is so exciting.
It's huge for him. So glad, so happy for him and his family. But I'd have a 2 week call all the time with him and his nutritionist, and we look at the week ahead, what the goals are, what the structures are, whether it's sleep is the how we can aid his sleep is the main focus for that week or that month, and then we break down what we're doing over that month, and then we just review it as we go. So it's all preparation and planning.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that goes for like everyone in life, right?
Pretty much everything, isn't it?
So do you guys change like it could change weekly, like what the player needs and gets?
Yeah. So it's a lot of it. So if they're in competitions, so where unfortunately I think I'm right in saying only one of my clients' teams are in the FA Cup. Oh no, now two because Mark's moved. But it's they now have no games in 2 weeks' time, whereas the other teams are going to have it. So we will now look at what the schedule is. So for Mark, as example, now that he's changed club, he's gone from a team that's in one competition, just the Premier League. He's now in a team that's got four competitions. He's got the FA Cup, the Champions League, the League Cup, and the Premier League. So he can be playing 3 games a week. So now what we were planning is just out the window. So now we've got to re-look at it, revisit it. So So it can change very quickly.
Yeah.
So Chris Richards, unfortunately, had that really bad foot injury just gone, where he had to have stitches. It went from recovery, and then we were planning recovery, match day -1, straight back into a game 2 days later. To he was then off for I think it was about 3.5 weeks. He couldn't play because he had to wait for it to. So we then had to go to reduce calories, look at what we're doing, reduce the inflammation, and just base it all around there. So that changed again, literally during the game. So that's when you sit down the next day, you're like, right, now I have to change what I'm doing because I've got my meals set, but now I've got to change it all because he's not going to be burning off what we're going to be fueling him with. So it can change really quickly.
That's why it's so important to have like someone like you on the team.
This is again, I always say my job's not to interfere. It's to actually give them something not to think about. So they know they can go into their fridge and everything's in there that's labelled up, ready to go. That's what I need on that day, on that time. So they don't have to think about it. They can just concentrate on their work because that's what it is. They're going to work and they come home and it's now set. They know their recovery's right. They know their setup's correct. So it's.
Well, I'm telling you, if we were in the same city, you would definitely be hired.
Yeah, I think New York's a bit far, but if I'm on holiday, who knows?
Well, thanks so much for coming on with us today. This was fascinating. I love it. I could talk to you all day about nutrition.
Oh, I appreciate it. No, it's been really good. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, thank you. And we'll talk to you soon.
Definitely. Take care of yourself.
Okay, bye bye.